Hey, this is Abel again. I'm here for week 3, talking you through nutrition again. Today I'm going to cover a topic that is really near and dear to my own heart because I have had my own sort of experiences with this, and something I talk to a lot about with my siblings, clients, anyone who just kind of messages me on Instagram and says, "Hey, the scale fluctuates so much. It goes from, by like 1 pound to 5 pounds throughout the week, sometimes in the same day, and it drives people up the wall." So I want to focus in on that right there. That 5 pounds that you keep consistently gaining or losing, over the course of time. What is that, right? And the first thing to really think about is, the scale is just one way to measure weight, right? It's just one way to measure progress, whatever you want to call, consider it. So it's just one metric, and it's not a perfect metric, but it is a metric. So let's really, dive deep into it. The scale is going to tell you a couple things, and the most, accurate thing that the scale really does is it tells you what is your weight on this particular day. Now, it doesn't tell you anything about body fat. But it does tell you what your weight is on this particular day, and that can change dramatically. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why the scale will fluctuate up or down, depending on these different variables. The first is sodium. So our muscles have sodium potassium pumps. It helps us move our bodies around, helps muscle contraction. If you have a meal that's high in sodium, if you have a meal that's a little bit more processed, generally those have a little bit more sodium in them, a little more fat. That is going to cause the scale to look up the next day. So it might look like you gain a pound or two if you weigh yourself in the morning time, if you've had a little bit of salt throughout the night. Second is cortisol. So cortisol is a stress hormone. We secrete it in our pancreas when we are feeling stressed out. Folks are more stressed than ever, according to the most recent research. So it is not surprising that you maybe are seeing the scale increase a little bit. And cortisol is just going to essentially be secreted in the bloodstream. It's going to make you retain water. And that water is what you see as that increase in the scale. Related to that, sleep quality. So if you're not sleeping well, you're not sleeping enough, your sleep schedule is a little erratic, that is also going to cause your cortisol levels to increase. As that increases, again, you're putting into that same play, that same positive feedback loop where you have not enough sleep, not good quality sleep, your stress hormones are being secreted, and then you're going to retain water. Moreover, when you're not sleeping well, you actually influence your metabolism and your hunger cues. So you can actually choose less healthy foods throughout the day just because you're sleep deprived. So think about that. These are all these things that look like you're gaining weight or look like you're losing weight, but in fact, they are just regular, fluctuations of the scale. Number 4 is inflammation. This is going to be really important to you folks because when you are training hard at the gym, the next day you may see the scale go up. And what that is inflammation of your muscles. So your muscles are taxed at that point. They might be carrying a little bit extra water. It's the inflammation that you're going to see in the body that's going to cause the scale to go up. Alternatively, a kind of cool thing is if you have a really hard workout and then you take a rest day, what you're likely to see is your weight go down. So, as the weight comes up from the inflammation, that next day, if you do have a nice little rest, your muscles will return to normal. The inflammation should subside. You should see the scale go down again. Number 5 is medication. So if we're on medications for depression and anxiety, for instance, I'll just give you those. Those are well known to cause water retention. Not to say that you shouldn't be on medication. They are, super effective. But just something to know that, if you are introducing a new medication into your body, you may experience a little bit of water retention. And it can also play with your hunger cues a little bit. So just to say, again, another reason why the scale may go up if you're starting a new medication. Number 6 is menstrual cycle. So my female identified folks in the room, if you're having a menstrual cycle, you might find that your weight will increase depending on where you are in your cycle. Generally, the first few days, you might see your weight go up, but it will come back down again as your cycle kind of goes throughout the 7 to 10 days. Alcohol intake, I want to spend a little more time on this one. So if you're drinking alcohol, you go out for a night with friends, you may find that your weight actually goes down the next day because you're dehydrated. So your water, your water in your body is lowered. Alternatively, you may see the weight increase because if you're drinking, lots of folks will also have salty snacks at the same time, and that's going to lead to the increase that you might see on the scale. Number 8 is carbohydrates. So let's think about that. Carbohydrate. So hydration, is the main part of that word. And that just is basically a reminder that for every 1 gram of carbohydrate, you're carrying 3 grams of water. So when you dramatically reduce your carbohydrates, you might see the scale really rapidly decrease. That's just water retention. Alternatively, if you're coming off of a lower carbohydrate diet, you're going introducing more carbs into your system, you're going to see that the weight may spike a little bit. And again, it's just water. The last 2 are bowel movements and basically fluid intake. So bowel movements, if you're weighing yourself before you have a bowel movement, then you're likely to see the weight go up or be a little higher. I have a friend who weighs before and after they have a bowel movement just to see because they're interested in that sort of thing, and it can fluctuate by like 3 pounds. So take that for whatever it is. The last one is water, coffee, fluid intake. If you're drinking, you have you're hydrated, you might find again that your weight is a little higher. If you're dehydrated, your weight might be a little lower. So these are 10 reasons why the scale is going to fluctuate, and they are not body fat gains. It is very hard if you are maintaining a pretty regular diet, choosing mostly whole foods, right? 80% of the time. It's going to be very hard for you to put on real body fat. Those 1 to 5 pounds are generally speaking going to be water, okay? So if it stresses you out, I want to give you 3 things that you can do that is going to let you maintain or feel more in control of your nutrition, even if the scale is stuck. One is being aware of what you eat, when you eat, why you eat, and how much you eat. And that is just being a little bit more mindful. Maybe you snap pictures of each of your meals. Don't get too caught up in it, but just what are you eating? Why are you eating? Are you hungry? Are you bored? Are you stressed? What are you looking for in that movement of nourishment to the body? Number 2 is understanding that you don't have to be 100% compliant to any healthy eating in order to see results. The best research I can find suggests that if you are between 50% and 80% compliant, you're going to experience the exact same level of success as people who are 100% compliant. So that means you only have to make the right choice 1 out of every 2 times. So have some grace. And the third one is understanding that every decision that you make with nutrition as well as exercise ranges from worst decision you can make to best decision you can make. I just had a client talk to me about taking a road trip. He and I discussed what was the worst possible thing he could eat on that road trip. And he decided that it was going to be hot dogs, okay, from like the little things that roll the processed meat around, okay? That was he's like, that's the worst decision I can make. And I was like, okay, what's the best decision you can make? He's like, okay, the best decision I can make is having, fruit and like nothing else with it, just like a piece of fruit, whatever. So we decided that his goal was going to be to aim in the middle. You don't have to make the best decision. Just try not to make the worst one. If you can do that, I think that you'll find that the scale will change over time. So try to be consistent, give yourself a little bit of grace, and understand that the way that the scale changes throughout the week is probably not an indicator that you are either gaining or losing weight. So I hope that this helps, and I'll see you for week 4.